Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Viewers, the actual discussion, point of discussion today was and will remain Pakistan's political condition. Of course, the program is called Politics Today. And in this, we are going to talk about the upheavals in Pakistan's politics, especially the opposition strategy. It is going to start an agitation campaign, at least PMLN keeps on saying that. We will do it, but later in the program, because there is another humongous development that has taken place. If you remember the case of Kulbhushan Yadav or Commander Kulbhushan Yadav, India's intelligence mole, who was found inciting violence and supporting terrorism within Pakistan without the proper documentation, or shall we say too much of documentation which was pointing in the wrong direction. That case was heard at the Hague, and ICJ has reached and announced its verdict. It's sort of mixed, a bag of things. For example, India's one prayer, at least, that is that consular access should be provided, has been accepted. But that is, when you look at the other rest of remedies that India kept on demanding, for example, quashing the case of military code, or letting the man go and then providing him a safe passage to India. All of that has been established. It is quite a big development and very huge, it is being considered a huge accomplishment for Pakistan. We'll have to talk about this as well. So at the start, let us first address these issues, what exactly is to be done, what has happened. Of course, there are concerns. Pakistan's prayer was that the case is not admissible in the ICJ, but it was accepted. The second one was the applicability of Vienna Convention regarding consular access. And there, of course, the case is a bit different, but rest of the things actually qualify Pakistan's case. In order to help us understand all these matters, we are joined by Mohammad Ibrahim Khan Sahab, MNA of ruling Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is a career journalist and analyst, Shafiq Ahmed Khan Sahab. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program as well. Ibrahim Khan Sahab, I have to start with you. Your opening comment on ICJ verdict.
Before even going to the ICJ, I would like to mention few things. Why case went to ICJ, why the Indians opted for the ICJ. Actually, there was this consent with the present government of that time. That's how it got accepted. Initially, because your representative did not even properly was prepared to represent the case, we had the option not to even accept that. Because ICJ will only accept, yes, because the ICJ can only implement their decisions once both parties are heard. If not both the parties are agree on the subject, then ICJ's jurisdiction it's not there to forcefully or by any means or law try to implement that. So actually, Indians were very hopeful that Nawaz will repeat himself and he will be in power and will be able to settle things accordingly.
Okay.
And that did not happen, and with the grace of Allah Almighty,
your party came to power.
And we took up the case with the full strength and with the main
but instead of
evidences.
actually, with due respect, instead of looking at it through the political or partisanship, lens, is there a possibility that we look at it from a state's perspective? Because you're right, it is a calculated risk when you accept the jurisdiction of ICJ. But what has happened right now, look at the ramifications. One, consular access is kind of peanuts in comparison to what has been accepted. Pakistan's right to try, Pakistan's assertion that the man is a spy who is supporting terrorism, right? And in a way, if you now progress and the same punishment is repeated, now it will have international stamp of accreditation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we knew it from the very beginning. I mean, the evidence is so much available that no could have denied it.
Yeah.
But it could have been only the connivance part, where if we did not even represent our case, only then he should have been able to get some relief, which
But
actually did
you
not happen.
actually repeated the same lawyer. You had the same lawyer
Sir, we had a
who
different
actually
push.
represented
Sir,
Pakistan.
with the different directions, with
but-
the clear directions. One,
I agree with him because I heard. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it is your turn.
The first time when the Pakistani lawyer, the same lawyer representing Pakistan at Hague, actually the argument was not that much clear. And as a journalist, I was surprised that how he can contest the case, like he's unable to properly present Pakistan case. But when the next
No,
hearing,
why would you say that? Because
Because-
before the verdict came,
Yes.
the initial verdict, when it came, before that there was universal consensus that our lawyer was very articulate, and I followed it personally. I found the case very effectively presented.
No, the first time when there was argument from his side, that was not that much. I think say that I had many question mark, honestly speaking. But the next time when he
No,
appeared,
actual question mark is ad hoc judge not being appointed, and there I agree. Tasadduq Jilani Sahab was appointed later on, after we had the first initial backfiring, right? But there I can see some kind of complacency or failure of the policy. But I cannot see the lawyer actually
the lawyer was
changing
amazing.
tack.
Yes, the second in the next hearing, when he continued hearing, that last time we were watching on television, the way he was presenting the case, it was amazing. And I think because of the lawyer, we won this case. And it is definitely...
Actually, because of the lawyer, India's lawyer, initially was very boisterously saying that it should be quashed and he should be freed. And within no time, after our lawyer started speaking, his position kind of changed.
Yes.
In the court. Okay, provide him, a fair trial and then consular access.
Actually, they had another story in their mind. And the story was that he was somehow, the story was in their mind, which was concocted, an incorrect story, that actually some of the Taliban captured him and handed over to the Pakistani authorities. This was their case. But actually it proved wrong, because now Hague is saying that he traveled with the same document of Mubarak Patel for 17 times.
Right.
He was not checked. And even India could not present another passport of this
So
Kulbhushan
you
Yadav.
agree with the idea of accepting the jurisdiction of the court, or you don't?
Yes, I think, yes, I agree.
You agree.
And I will go further ahead,
So
by
you're
the way.
disagreeing with Ibrahim Khan Sahab?
No, but I want to go a little bit ahead. I want to go ahead. Like Prime Minister of Pakistan is going to America, and America recently announced and put BLA on terror list. So this is the time Pakistan should put a little bit pressure. I know that to pressure on America is not possible for Pakistan, but Pakistan can talk. Like, look, India was involved directly in Balochistan, and once you have placed BLA on terror list, so please tell India not to interfere in Pakistan.
Right.
This is the most important thing. And
If America tells India not to do it, India is going to stop?
at least, I mean, this is another very good question, but I don't have an answer, honestly speaking.
Yeah,
but at least
okay.
if America says something to India, look, no, he is what you use the word stamped as a spy of India, and who traveled to Balochistan many times, and he is involved in sabotage, in terrorist activity, and in which a lot of Pakistanis were killed. So he is stamped terrorist, and Pakistan should take up this case.
ISO certified terrorist.
Of course.
Standardized.
Yes.
terrorist.
So I mean, this case should be taken by Prime Minister of Pakistan with President Donald Trump, and little bit pressure should be put on India by American. Look, India must be stopped not to do what India has been doing since long.
Right. One interesting aspect, Ibrahim Khan Saab, is about terrorism or connotation of what has been happening. Initially, we thought that there was a chance, of course, that the court is going to reject Pakistan's position from A to Z. That didn't happen. But at that time, a lot of people were saying, why is it that when a Muslim does something or they are caught, you call it terrorism? When some other country, or especially a power country sponsored terrorism takes place, it is, mind you, state sponsored terrorism in the garb of espionage. In that situation, the world goes mum.
Exactly, I beg to disagree with my honorable participant. I think we can put at least a moral pressure on the Americans. And we have been so far in every other country that we have visited, including Iran, we have given a very clear message. We will not tolerate terrorism exported to imported into Pakistan or exported by those particular countries. And I
By
tell
anyone, so to speak.
you, by anyone. Particularly those two countries I mentioned is reason because Prime Minister has gone there and he has a very, he takes a very strong stance on his issues. And he has been very successful so far as our even foreign policy is concerned and our international image is concerned. Pakistan has drawn a very soft image all over the world due to this your loosening up of visa policy. And trust me, a week back I had a chance to go to Skardu. More than half of the flight was Europeans.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so the issue is with this. What happened with Hague or with the ICJ when Guantanamo Bay was, taking place and the things were happening there? You see,
no, but
it's
that was you have to understand what was happening at Gitmo because we have had huge discussions. That was a new specter that was emerging, and there was a lack of international laws, right? And Hague and the US have very bitter kind of relationship.
Sure.
That is one aspect. But here something very interesting is happening. A person who is employed by a state,
Absolutely.
sponsored, finance, given due papers, fake or artificial papers
Absolutely.
by the very state to go and foment terrorism in other countries. That
Absolutely.
would actually include money trails. That would include a lot of things that would call into action FATF and other elements had it been the case of Pakistan instead of India. So the question is, why does the world doesn't see when India does something and foment terrorism elsewhere?
Well, at the moment, the world means America. Okay,
The entire world, sir.
Okay,
European-
the entire
European
world
Union?
now.
Yes,
The entire
UK.
world sees it differently now. Okay, and you saw the incidents that took place in New Zealand
Yeah.
of massacre of those Muslims in a mosque. The Prime Minister was covering her head with to show the solidarity and.
No, she's a great leader.
Amazing.
No, she's a great leader. It
the
was
reason
an excellent
saying
example. But
that
I'm talking
they're
about
saying
India.
they were saying, okay, with India, now things are changing. You see, it does not just change overnight. It took them 70 years to propagate that we were the creator of terrorism and we were the exporters of terrorism and on and on and on. Now, we have proven in the court of international law that they are testified terrorists. And this is how we caught them, right in the middle of their acts. One, that will clear the minds of those who even have a little bit of ambiguity about the issue that whether India was doing terrorism or not. No, they are exporting state terrorism, which is against the law.
Right.
And that will further help our stance on the fact that It's not us who are exporting terrorism, it's them.
Right.
And with the conclusion of this case, it
Sir,
really
I'll
does
have to
help.
interject here. Shah Mahmood Qureshi, the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, has joined us on telephone. Thank you very much, Qureshi Saab. Sir, the question now is, we have heard the verdict. What happens now? What is the state of Pakistan going to do after this? Are we going to provide the consular access? And how we will move forward?
Well, to begin with, Pakistan is satisfied with the judgment, with the verdict announced by the ICJ. The Indian prayer of acquittal, release, and return of Commander Jadev has been rejected, and this is a moral victory for Pakistan. They also had pleaded that the sentence of the military court should be annulled. That was also rejected. They've also said that he should be given given a review and reconsideration. But Pakistan, means of Pakistan's choosing is the words that they've used. So we will do it according to our laws and through our legal provisions. Obviously, we have our laws, and we will move according to laws of the land.
But regarding consular access, are we going to provide Commander Yadav the consular access?
Pakistan is a responsible country. We went to the ICJ. That means we accepted the jurisdiction of the ICJ. The ICJ has made an announcement. They have announced their verdict. And Pakistan, as I said, as a responsible, law-abiding nation, would, keeping our laws in view, move accordingly.
Right. Foreign Minister, one last question regarding agitating Pakistan's cause abroad. Had the situation reversed, many argue that India would have been killing it by showing the face of the alleged terrorist sponsor, terrorist. What can Pakistan do to actually tell the world what exactly has happened here and how an Indian office bearer has been responsible for the murder of Pakistanis?
Well, you see, one thing is very obvious, that the sentence of the court, of the military court, which was based obviously on evidence, has not been set aside, in which Mr. Jadev has admitted espionage and has also admitted to acts of sabotage and terrorism.
Right. Right, sir. Thank you very much, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, sir, Foreign Minister of Pakistan, for your take. And it was, you have listened to him. Now the question, Shafiq sir, I have to ask you, and it is very important because you are from media. The accusation against Pakistani media is unlike Indian media. It doesn't actually try to build the case for Pakistan. It doesn't highlight these issues or doesn't take them as the first priority issue. Do you think that there is a way to actually agitate this point? At least media can play its role and highlight this matter.
100% agree with you. I'm sorry to say the Pakistani media did not play good role, because I still remember when I was covering the killing of what was the jail inmate arrested by the Pakistani authority. I have forgotten his name. I mean, when he was murdered, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So he was presented as a hero in India, and that man was involved in a couple of bomb explosions in Faisalabad in Lahore, in which more than 18 persons were killed. So I was covering for India, but I was the only one, because I was a Pakistani, I was repeatedly saying that this man is a terrorist, pronounced terrorist. He was involved in the killing of 18 innocent person. And honestly speaking, no Pakistani media was covering the way I was covering for India.
Right.
It's very unfortunate why the local Pakistani media is not understanding how to take the case.
Right.
I mean, look, every year there is, whenever the Mumbai attack year completes, there's a special documentary on the Mumbai attacks.
Yeah.
And they have a good propaganda stuff.
And now films.
But what we have done, like Samjhota Express, people don't know that the serving colonel, whose name was
Colonel Purohit.
Purohit was involved directly.
And he has been let go.
And he
And
was
now
let
he's
go.
serving in the army now.
Again, look at them. But can you tell me what the mainstream media, why they kept mum over this issue?
Yeah.
They didn't highlight the proper way.
Okay.
And the same is the person who accepted everything. His name was Asimanand. Yes.
Swami
Asimanand. Yes. And he
Abhinav Bharat's leader.
Yes, and he was involved in Samjhota Express. So the way India, but let me tell you about the Indian media, why they are doing it. Like one is, the name is Ambani. Ambani is very close to Narendra Modi. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And he's really a rich guy.
And he is
$50 billion net worth.
But let me tell you about his channel. He is owner of 8 news channels, regional, English, and local. Okay, let's come to another important TV channel, which is called Republic TV of this very popular man, Arnab Goswami.
Known man, not popular.
Known person.
Okay.
Okay, so Republic owner is sitting member of the parliament with I mean, he is member of this Bharatiya Janata Party. So I mean, the media is, they know how to play with, how to propagate the stuff, and we are unable to do it. And honestly speaking, let me talk about what Hansa was saying about the previous governments, actually a little bit different way of handling issues.
Yeah.
Like when you are appointing Maulana Fadlur Rahman as
The head of Kashmir
Committee for 10 long years. So it means that you are not serious in the Kashmir issue.
Yeah.
And the Kashmiris are fighting, they are being killed, the innocent Kashmiris.
I don't know, this is an interesting point, but we'll need another session to ask you. Why do you think Maulana Fazlur Rahman could not do justice to Kashmir Committee? It is going to be a long story. I'm not going to go there right now because we have to do justice to the second aspect that I was promising at the start. Let us now come back to Pakistan's politics. Interestingly, the government continues its crusade against corruption and, of course, tries to bring in reform as well. In doing that, it opens too many fronts. For example, we saw the traders strike all over the country, sir, and that was it was reported that was quite effective. Now the opposition parties are going to agitate. People's Party has announced protest on 25th, and then PMLN's leader, Vice President Mariam Nawaz, is also promising that she is going to start a street agitation. How are you going to do justice to so many fronts?
Okay. Yes, we are in a situation where we have to face so many or confront so many, in different directions. But actually, when you said that whatever the strike was, it was successful. I was in the south, and there was no success in
No,
the south.
I didn't say that it was successful.
Okay.
I said it was reportedly successful.
Okay.
Please,
It
please
was- okay,
appreciate
okay,
the nuances.
Okay. I'm sorry if I thought you said, but that's fine. It really partially there were those who were with the N League. They shut down their shops.
Yeah.
And majority of the people in the south I saw everywhere, I mean, shops were open, things were working normally. And nobody tried to force anyone to shut their shops down. Their concern, even those who were who had shut down their shops, were not against the tax laws, or not the tax, about the taxation or the tax collection. This is just give us a simplest system how we can manage it. That we don't want to fall victim to the FBR.
Okay.
It should be simple and straightforward for every simple Pakistani to understand how
Victim to FBR? How come? FBR is an institution. It is not a disease or some kind of tragedy.
Okay, it is not a disease. I mean, I always say this, and I would repeat it in front of you. It's not the system. There's nothing wrong with the system. It's man behind the system which has rotted.
Okay.
And that needs to be replaced.
Okay.
Okay? And when I say FBR, victim FBR means is not victim of the system, but victim of the
No, but
people
we heard
who
the
are sitting
traders.
in the
We heard the traders who were protesting, and they said that they have objection to the mention or use of NIC. That is important, and then the taxes, and especially the VAT format that you are going to apply. So it is about taxes, sir, with due respect.
It
and
is
I'm not
about
objecting
taxes.
to that. My concern is now, and there's this impression that your government also changes its position or its direction very quickly. There is speculation in the media about Chairman FBR as well. And I want to understand why is it even being speculated in the media? Because usually such reports are carried by the papers when somebody asks the Prime Minister, or there is talk going on within PTI's circles.
No, sir. Actually, it's very unfortunate that in Pakistan, we mostly believe more in rumors than the realities.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm again
And,
quoting only news.
Oh, only news. Okay? But the factual position is because I had one-on-one discussion with the people like, what's your issue? This is what their issue is.
Okay.
Some of them also do have concerns like now their total income will be exposed, like how much money they were making, profits they were making on this. And trust me, it is across the board. Until we document our economy, there is no other way out.
Right.
You cannot run a country, a state without taxes. Anywhere in the world you go, you see the same way.
Right. But
And,
how are you going to actually reconcile with all the fronts and work on all the fronts? That is the question. Let me go back to Shafiq Ahmed Saab first, and then I'm going to come back to you, sir. Shafiq Saab, at this moment, people have repeatedly said, many of the analysts, that the government is trying to do too many things simultaneously. And that's why it keeps getting the pushback it gets. And there is a time when everything becomes dysfunctional. They are trying to reform bureaucracy. They are trying to, reform the tax code and all that. They are trying to reform the political accountability system as well, or at least going after those who were not that much touched in the past. And in doing so, they might actually be opening themselves or making themselves vulnerable to too many attacks. Do you think that the government will be able to sustain it?
Look, situation is overall not good. I mean, we need reforms, by the way. You miss one of the main important reform, that is called judicial reforms.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of over a million pending cases, and we have to do some judicial reforms. And since this episode of Judge Malik Arshad, so it needs a little bit reform to do about judiciary to overhaul the judiciary.
To the
but
credit,
let me come to,
since you brought up the matter of penancy, to the credit of
yes.
current Chief Justice, he is trying to improve the procedures. Of course, laws have to be changed, but the procedures are being modernized right now.
But look, there is some problem in our judicial system. Like one of the recent decision by the by the ICJ about Recodic. I mean, Chief Justice of Pakistan had given the verdict against that company.
Yeah, a commission is there now. They are going to investigate that.
Yes.
And we'll know what happened. But with due respect, it also depends on the people who are there, right?
Yes.
If Tahad Chaudhry Saab, first of all, I mean, he was considered a crusader, a revolutionary, a mujahid, and then he came back to, resumed his office. And after that, we saw that he made life difficult for not one, not two, actually three governments.
Exactly. But let me come to this point. Like reform, we need education reform. We need reforms.
Yeah.
But the problem is the opposition is currently doing opposition for the sake of opposition.
Yeah.
I mean,
Opposition for the sake of opposition, or opposition merely for the sake of Nawaz Sharif, Shehbaz Sharif, Asif Ali Zardari, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, Adi, and
yes,
all.
of course, the main leadership, they are behind the bars, and some are being summoned by the NAB, and their assets are being checked and everything now. And NAB this time seems to be very independent. What the government is saying and what I believe. But you know, opposition is certainly in crisis. The latest is the case of the Daily Mail news story, which need to be investigated. We will see that the opposition, I mean, Shehbaz Sharif, whether file a suit, defamation suit against that or not.
No, I'm glad that you're talking about these aspects, and they are important. But the original question was whether the government will be able to manage this kind of pressure.
I hope so. I pray. I mean, look, initially, like in the previous government, there were about 1.6 million people who were paying the tax. But when the new government came, it came down to 1.4. I mean, about 2 lakh people, they either, I mean, closed down their businesses or what happened, but the number of taxpayer reduced to from 1.6 million to 1.4 million.
You're talking about financial year 2018-19.
Yes,
I mean, that was a year of upheaval, because one government was going, and it brought in a finance minister who was never elected as formally as the member of the house. And then before going, they created this kind of interesting situation. Then you had caretakers, and then the new government.
I know, but overall, you know, all the previous government, they made promises that they will increase the tax net because they were the businessmen themselves, though they didn't. So this time, it seems to me that the government is very much serious, because they knew if they don't broaden the tax net, they will again go to the World Bank or IMF to get more money.
So the government has to stay its course?
Yes, of course. And I think the government should, because this is, I mean, we have to pay the tax. We have to pay. The traders, the problem is, what I have seen with my own eyes, like if you talk for example, about Raja Bazaar, there are millions and billions of business on daily basis. But there is one FBR official, and he collects some money, and he, I don't know.
Collects some money?
Collects some money,
Yeah,
but willing
people are not.
I mean, he's a Khan Sahib may be a
FBR
businessman.
officials are not supposed to
he's
collect
right.
the money.
I mean, what I'm saying that there is wheeling and dealing. By the way, FBR, I'm not blaming. I mean,
No,
what
no,
I have
I
seen,
agree. Prime Minister spoke today and yesterday about
said the same
reforming
thing.
FBR, right?
Yes, of course, it is
No,
very important.
I agree with that point, and I see what you're saying. There has to be a reform, but it becomes murky and depressing when media again starts speculating whether the newly installed or newly appointed chairman FBR is going to be replaced. That becomes a problem then, right?
Yes, I agree.
And the question is, are you sure that there is not going to be an agitation by PMLN or People's Party or traders, or they are not going to come closer?
Again, actually the question is of a leadership. And leadership is entirely a different concept than heads of 2 families. Okay? There basically all of this agitation or all of these plans or all of these beautiful dreams that they will be able to create agitation is for the security and safety of 2 families. People are not ready to buy that because of the mega corruption, and they have been involved, they have been indicted, they have been sentenced. Okay? So things are a lot more clearer now than it was before. And I hope and pray that Shehbaz Sharif's one of his speeches, he was saying, even a single penny is proven as a corruption on me, take it out of my grave and hang my skeleton. Okay? And I think God has taken his words for it. And before he goes to his graves, Allah will inshallah show him on this planet Earth that what you have done, now you will pay for it.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
and I'm saying like pathological a word. called pathological liar. A person lies and then believes he's telling the truth. This is what some sort of a psyche has developed in our political arena, which
No, that
has
is
to
true,
be.
and I understand what you're saying. I mean, it is your party's opinion, it is your party's position, and
So
your
it's
party
not my party's
got, no,
opinion
your,
only.
Your party got maximum votes. So I see that there must be people supporting that narrative.
Sure.
But when I look at the elections, there was a sizable number of people who actually voted for PMLN or People's Party as well. So if they decide to mobilize, what are you going to do?
Sir, all that happened before they were indicted and the things were brought in clarity to the people of Pakistan that the damage, financial damage they have done to Pakistan in the last 10 years. They don't have any moral authority for a call or to sell your children. You have to have some sustainable cause behind it. They don't have any moral value or moral authority behind them to basically sell that, and I don't see it. You see, I'll give you an example, very simple one. Bilawal Bhutto, he started his train march, and at the end of the day, women were striking and they were protesting that they were promised 2,000 rupees a person per person, and they were only given 200 rupees per person. So
we have heard these accusations in the
These
past
are not
coming
sir,
from other
accusations.
parties
Can I
as well.
These are the
interrupt, by the way?
But,
Can I
yeah.
interrupt, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean, for how long the PTI government official or the PTI member or the leaders, they will keep saying the same thing or putting blame on the two previous governments. Yes, they have done something wrong.
No, but
for
why
sake of
shouldn't they?
discussion.
It helps their cause.
But the issue is for
have
how
to
long
make
the
people
will
understand, I'm
continue
sorry.
hearing this, because there's a price hike. There is, I mean, the electricity bill, the gas bill increase, the gasoline prices increase, their life more miserable a little bit, because what I can say that job, I mean, there are less number of jobs in the market. So people, if the government MNAs or the government ministers are saying that this is the damage done by the two previous governments, so they have to rectify the damage, and they should deliver. They should deliver.
No,
But
they
so
should,
far,
and I
add-
see your point about the people of Pakistan suffering because of the economic conditions.
Yes, of course, of course.
And the government has not actually said that those conditions are not there. Of course, yesterday I was listening to the head of State Bank of Pakistan. He was also mentioning that inflation is going to rise, and that's why they are actually adding to the interest rate, right? But with due respect, tell me one thing. In the past, when there was such conditions, people used to come on the street and agitate. Remember Ayub Khan's government. Remember other governments, and even during People's Party's time when there was too much electricity outages, people used to come out.
Yeah.
Now you don't see people coming out. What exactly is happening?
The problem is the leadership, because the opposition, even they don't trust their own leaders. What is my understanding, there is a problem within the PMLN. I mean, the clear divide people can see between the Mariam Nawaz and his uncle Shehbaz Sharif, and the face of Faryal Talpur or former President Asif Zardari for the People's Party was not that much acceptable like Bilawal Bhutto's face. Like, I'm happy to see Bilawal Bhutto, the young leadership, is coming up, and the way he is speaking, he's speaking very nice, and he's a good politician.
I mean, whether he's speaking nice or not, the problem is the people who came out against Ayub Khan's hike of sugar or others, they were not led by any leader. They came out to protest, and that used to happen in Pakistan. But it seems either there are two conclusions that I have: A, as you are saying, there is no leader, or B, there might be leaders who are trying to call, but people want to give the government, despite their own suffering, want to give the government benefit of doubt right now.
You may be right, because what Hansa was saying about this strike, it was, in my opinion, a very successful strike, but it was organized or planned by the traders, not by the opposition parties.
Yeah, fortunately, the two lines have not crossed yet. But there is a possibility that opposition and traders decide to sit together.
Yes, there
And
is
that becomes a
yeah,
problem.
This may be a problem. We will see on 25th.
Sir.
But the government stance is very clear. The trader will have to pay the taxes. The government stance is clear. And I mean, as a journalist, I support it. I support the government must collect tax from the traders. And let's see what happens on 25th.
The economy, sir, has to be documented. This is the only way forward for Pakistan.
And there should be a better mechanism to communicate with the
Better
traders.
mechanism, absolutely.
And that is possible. I mean, there was one piece that I saw in one of the papers, and that was about your PR strategy. Maybe that needs a little bit of work, public relations policy. If that is done, maybe you will find more comfort. But I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Ibrahim Khan Sahab, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Shafiq Ahmed Sahab, thank you very much for your time as well. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. We try to do justice to not one, but two very important topics. We'll keep on watching and discussing these issues with you. Thank you very much for watching today. Take care.